Columbia University just had, well, depending on who you pay attention to, 78, somewhere between 40 to 78 people were just arrested at Columbia University because of these pro-Hamas protesters. These folks are getting crazy. Now, I don't know what kind of damage has been done to the library where they held themselves up. So I've got a news thing here from NBC News, and you get to see some of the arrests. This is some wild stuff. Um, Said late on Wednesday that it had requested NYPD assistance in securing the building, and that two of its public safety officers were hurt in the standoff. Uh, This is wild. I mean, this is one of the universities that Trump has been going after. So, yeah, let's take a look at this clip real quick.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
And some breaking news to tell you about right now. Within the last few minutes, Columbia University directing NYPD onto their campus to remove protesters who refuse to leave the school's library. Now, you can see police officers, some of them even in riot gear, removing some of those students in zip ties. And right outside, clashes between police and protesters turned violent with those heavy metal barriers being pushed into the air. And this is what the scene looked like inside a Butler library a little bit earlier. Students protesting in a standoff with school public safety officers. The school saying two of those officers were hurt. Outside, a large group of students gathered earlier, attempting to force their way into the library. Remember, the school was a site of those encampments last year protesting Israel's war in Gaza. Now a major target of President Trump over allegations of anti-Semitism. Let's get right over to NBC's Emily Aketa over at Columbia University right now. Emily, I saw something happening behind you right before we came to you. What's the situation looking like right now, and how many people have been removed?
Gotti, those arrests are still underway as we speak. So far, I've counted 78 people ushered out by the NYPD of the library, which you can see behind me just ahead of finals week. They're largely walked out in twos, flanked by police, their hands behind their back, tied with zip ties. One protester had just shouted "Free Palestine" as they had been ushered out by the police. This comes after demonstrations flooded into the school's library earlier this afternoon. Columbia University posting a series of updates and statements, first saying that for the protesters who refuse to leave, who refuse to provide identification and disperse, they could face possible arrest. Well, several hours later, they called in the NYPD, and that is what you see behind me. There are barricades, there are special response teams who have been going in and out of the library that university officials say have been occupied by protesters. It's not just tension spilling over inside of the campus, but also outside, maybe about 50 yards or so from where I'm standing. You might even be able to make out the demonstration still underway right now. But earlier, there were some serious physical clashes between pro-Palestinian protesters and police. Police trying to use these barricades you'll see behind me to push people back, and then the protesters then pushing back and forth there. Earlier today, it was campus police, security officers who have been trying to hold this building on lockdown. And the university said that two campus officers were injured as they say some pro-Palestinian protesters had tried to force their way into the library, Gotti. This all comes amid President Trump, the Trump administration's crackdown on what they call harassment of Jewish American students, even cutting hundreds of millions of dollars of funding to federal funding to Columbia University, trying to stem pro-Palestinian protests, Gotti.
I mean, and so the protests that are there right now, the ones that we could hear chanting in the background, is it still a very sizable group, or does it seem like things are starting to disperse?
It is a sizable group outside of campus. It's hard to say how many people are still in here. Like I mentioned, there were more than 70 people that have been arrested. I've seen social media posts estimating 100 people, at least 100 people had gotten into the building. So it's unclear how many people may still be in the library. But outside, we continue to see protests. They continue to move throughout the campus. You hear those calls for divestment from Israeli-backed companies from the school and protection from ICE on campus. Gotti, as we've heard before, Columbia University posting a statement that reads in part, disruptions to our academic activities will not be tolerated and are violations of our rules and policies. This is especially unacceptable while our students study and prepare for final exams. Mayor Eric Adams also posting to social media, addressing parents, urging parents to call their kids if they're being apart, saying that breaking the law is not okay.
And again, all of this happening right before finals week, right? So what kind of disruption are we talking here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard from one student who had been in the area. A lot of people, obviously, the week before finals, this is a place that they're going to be hanging out. So when they're evacuating other students who have been studying, when they're putting this library online.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Now, I watch this stuff and I go, okay, universities have had protests for a long time. I mean, you have people that are constantly protesting at universities. Okay, that's all well and good. But we're talking about the UW protest. $1 million worth of damage occurred when they took over the Consolidated Engineering Building. This library, they'd already had, like I said, according to Reuters, that 2 of the public safety officers for Columbia University had been injured. One student appeared to be injured. Another individual was seen being carried out of the building on a stretcher. Why would you why would you go do this? You know you're going to be in the spotlight and you think, oh, all news is good news. But you're not. Most Americans are turning against you. You're making people go, what is the use of our taxpayer dollars going to the universities? Now, look, I don't think that every student that goes to these universities is into this. I know most of them are trying to go into this and actually, get their education. And Columbia University is one of those places that, I can't imagine that it wouldn't be a good education. Well, at least I would hope not. I don't know a lot about what Columbia University is nowadays, but it shouldn't be this. I mean, honestly, it should not be this, folks. I mean, this is going a little too far. When people are getting injured, you're going too far. But hey, that's just my take on it. I do want to see folks that are getting a higher education that are becoming the future leaders, but this isn't being future leaders. These are people putting on masks and supporting a terrorist organization. But hey, they've got a different opinion. That's what makes America great. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.